Welcome to the 5-Minute Salute. I'm your host, Chris Budihas, and I'm lucky to be joined by my friend, Brian Cook with MKS2 Solutions. Brian, how are you doing?
I am excited. It is always great to get some Budihas time.
No, brother, it's good to see you, out there in Austin, living your great life. So, Brian, where are you from and what you do in the military? And let's talk about that post-military career and some of your insights.
Okay, so I was born north of Pittsburgh, the great city of Pittsburgh, but we moved to Southern California when I was a kid. And so I grew up most of my life in Southern California, graduated from a place called Claremont High School. Went into West Point in 1986, graduated in 1990 and commissioned as a tanker. Went right into Desert Storm. I am in a couple of books about that. I was the youngest tank platoon leader in the division.
Wow.
It was my first field problem, so kind of cool.
Awesome. And then, you exited out of the military a couple years ago. So what's that post-military journey been like, and what advice do you have for, our veterans that are either A, out, or B, those in service that are looking to either retire or, leave after their current contract?
So it's a terrific space to be. First of all, enjoy the great space you're in, because you, a veteran, have been treated to one of the best leader development programs in the world. I don't care where you come from, what service. You're really coming from a great space. I'm a tanker turned maneuverist turned strategic planner turned now morphing into a little bit of a tech innovator and a thought leader. So think about those transitions. What the military's really taught us to do very well is transition. So we can't ignore that as one of our superpowers. And I think that's what I've learned in my 2 transitions since the military. So I first went off to the great company of IBM, and I was the Army Futures Command portfolio leader over there. And then most recently in October, I joined MKS2 to help lead their DoD growth. And both of those are interesting transitions. And I just like to point out to veterans, look, first of all, you're really good at it. Second of all, your freedom as a veteran is between what Viktor Frankl would say, a stimulus and a response. You're going to transition. That's the stimuli. And how you respond is up to you. And that's where your freedom, your growth, your power is as a veteran. So whether you have an easy answer that you want to act on quickly because it might go away, or you want to go slow, that's your choice. That gap is your freedom to have.
Yeah, earlier in the day we were talking, and you said there's 2 things that really, in some cases, can paralyze a veteran. You said one's fear and one's laziness. So how did you come to that? Just through observation, or you see it as a time-tested principle as you watched other folks go through this process?
Well, one, talking to other veterans. I think all of us in these great transitions, if you're really benefiting from it, you get to help another veteran do it. And I've had that chance several times. And so that's been super good. And then I got to this platform. It's called Heroic. Good friend of mine, Brian Johnson, leads it through just some serendipity and some people pointing me in the right way. Some of my soft buds that are in the thought leader space. And that's where I discovered, you're having a normal response to an abnormal situation. And that is what growth is about. And so one of the guys that Brian Johnson often quotes is a guy named Phil Stutz, a psychiatrist and an amazing coach. And he says 2 things, fear, right? And laziness. And look, they feed off each other. If you have some fear and you play into it, and you let it be a part in your mind, you'll get lazy. And then lazy will tell you, oh, well, now you're not even good enough to play because you're a lazy, and so it's very dangerous.
No, I appreciate that, right? I've mentioned to a few folks, I said, in the service we talk about that moral and physical courage. And the reality of it is, as a veteran, and I never met this colonel until recently, and a guy was telling me, like, hey, I'm a colonel. I'm going to get out. I'm going to find a job easily. And, they're just going to throw jobs at me. And I'm like, I don't think you see the problem the way that everybody else in the world sees it. So having that moral courage, or either that's laziness or fear, stepping beyond it and then asking for help. Because I think you definitely hit the head on the nail on the head. Is there's a lot of people out there, a lot of organizations willing to help you, but you have to take the first step to ask for that help, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the ability to ask for help is a huge superpower. But yeah, you have to feel that, right? You have to feel the fear of the fact that you may not get everything that you have dreamt about as you transition out of the military. But then if you act upon that, right, and reach out to fellow veterans, you'll be surprised. I was surprised personally. My invite to IBM happened at my retirement party.
Wow.
A veteran friend of mine walked up and said, "Hey, Bri, we're starting a new office facing AFC." That's what you got to be. You got to be open enough to say,
yeah,
I'm looking, I'm hunting, I need your help,
Yeah, I told a number of folks, and I tell folks, hey, if you're not on LinkedIn, you're missing the boat, right? I've told a number of folks that I was very surprised for a couple of guys that weren't on LinkedIn. I said it's a powerful tool. And our friend Jay McGuire said to me, he goes, hey, your network is your net worth. So, it's good to have the function on LinkedIn that open to work. And I'm not telling people not to use it. I'm saying it's a great function. But on the flip side, your network, well, many times they're going to pull you into the organization because they know who you are, they know what you bring, and they can be helpful with that. But I think you're right. That first step is on the individual to take. So. Any last bits of advice? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, on that piece alone, I sent out 111 resumes in my transition timeline, right before I got out of the military. And I only made it past the first level on 9 of them. But I got 11 interviews off of friends like Joe Kopser and all these great guys and gals who said, hey, if you know somebody in my network and you'd like to meet them, I'm willing to make a warm intro. Bam. You're in the door. Far better than a resume, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so Brian, number one, thank you for your service to our nation, and thanks for what you're doing out in the Austin and beyond the community. I mean, I'm watching you on LinkedIn, other social media, and you're definitely helping other veterans, improve their transition to, not just their first job out of the military, but successive jobs there. And I think that's the power of our ecosystem of the veteran community. It's not just local, it's national, if not international in many cases. So thanks again, and I appreciate what you're doing. I look forward to catching up with you, one-to-one, but also I have you back in a segment in the future to talk about what you're doing in this space and with both veterans, but also in the business world, and how Austin continues to change and morph, because I think we all can learn something from that. So thanks again. Have a great weekend.
Chris, thanks very much, and thanks to your whole crew out there for doing what you're doing. It's really pulling together.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hey, folks, today's segment was sponsored by Operation Barnabas. Check them out at OperationBarnabas.com. Great nonprofit providing veterans in need with a hand up, not a handout. If you like what you heard, follow both Brian Cook and myself on LinkedIn and continue to be part of the conversation as we talk veteran issues, both in a positive and those that are not so positive, to educate our veteran community. Bye.
Operation Barnabas is a veterans ministry, started in 2017 with the purpose of helping our veterans that kind of got left behind.
These people went over and went to war for us, and a lot of their friends didn't come back, and that's a lot of the stuff that we as veterans deal with is there's a lot of people that didn't make it back, and then it's like, why are we here? So and then they isolate.
And they've struggled with addictions, PTSD, suicidal thoughts, those kind of things, helping them get whole again through one-to-one mentorship.
So being able to communicate with them and help them can drastically change their life, can drastically change a family's life. The little that we can do is put our hand out and say, hey, do you want a hand up? Like, we're not giving a hand out. Do you want a hand up? And just be able to be there with them and do life with them and just be able to help them, because, man, they put their life on the line for you and me.